A very good evening to you. It's the Friday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Thanks for joining us on the show today. Of course, we will be looking at things happening in your fast-paced, money-speeding, entertaining, and also rewarding world of sports. Tonight on the show, we look at what's happening on the domestic scene. We talk about the upcoming season of the Nigeria Professional Football League. Take a look at the matches that will be played. Take a look at the groups, which teams are likely to make it through and get to that point where they will be able to vie for the title. We'll also talk about plans to make this abridged league successful. We will also attempt a review of sports in 2022. We've taken a look at the calendar now. It's time to review what happened in 2022. We will also talk about the English Premier League, and at some point we will talk about what has become a sad day in the world of football. Gianluca Vialli has passed on, the former Juventus, former Chelsea player, former Chelsea coach, also part of the coaching crew of the Azzurris. That's the Italian national team that won the 2020 European Championships. We'll talk about him, and of course, we'll try to remember all of the good things he has done for the world of football. That's the outlook of the show today. Of course, sit back, relax as we take you on this trip across the money-spinning world of sports. All right, let me quickly, of course, introduce my partner in the Lagos studio before, of course, Austin Okonakman will be joining us. We do this together. But, of course, our guest in the Lagos studio, it's been a while, but he's back. I'm very happy to see him again, and I'm going to say Happy New Year. Onyebuchi Nwachukwu joins us. Onyebuchi, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to be on the show, Yemi. Happy New Year to all our viewers across the world. Mm-hmm. And I think listening to your intro, I had some nostalgic feelings, about our sports. And I hope everything can get better this year, because it was quite a kind of mixed fortune for us last year. We had some good times and bad times, but we want to dwell more on the good times, because the bad times really don't bring back good memories. So for me, last year, the Commonwealth Games was
the high point.
Yeah, it was a high point, because we had a record-breaking outing. Mm-hmm. And thanks to, I don't want to sound maybe gender, tweeting towards one gender, but the gold medals were won by
the ladies.
And we need to commend them for what they did last year. And hoping that that could inspire the male athletes. Mm-hmm. Also believing that everything, the necessary motivation, the ingredients, the environment will be right for them to also excel. But we look forward to a better 2023. Yeah.
And just to piggyback to 2022, Toby Amusan that deserves special mention. She put us, since we're going down memory lane and talking about nostalgic feelings, she put us on the map for the very right reasons. And I want to hope that in 2023, it's not just going to be one athlete, it will be a lot of sportsmen and women that will put us on the map for the very right reasons.
Yeah, Toby Amusan's story is quite inspiring. I read an interview she granted when she came back, from the Commonwealth Games. She came to the country, and she admitted that she had to take a loan of a lot of money in dollars.
Wow.
To get to the podium at the World Championship and at the Commonwealth Games. There was an adopted talent. I think the Ogun State government also gave her, adopted her, the policy that the sports minister introduced. But you see, apart from the system, these athletes should also learn from what happened to her. Sometimes you don't rely on the system alone. You need to go think outside the box.
Put in a lot of
efforts. If needs be, get a loan like Toby Amusan. I mean, she made a lot of money, so she's been able to pay back what she took. And that should be like a template for all our athletes. We also hope that the ministry could also support
in any way they can.
Especially athletes that are likely to win medals for us at international events.
All right. Okay, we've talked about 2022. We've put together a report on the year gone by, 2022. I want to take a look at the highs, the lows, the good things in 2022, the things that shouldn't repeat itself in 2023. And of course, when we return from that report, my partner, my colleague Austin Okonakman, is suited and ready, is waiting to join in. But let's just quickly take that report, come back for more on Sports Tonight.
2022 was a busy year for Nigeria with lots of talking points. The year started with the Super Eagles of Nigeria failing to get past the round of 16 at the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon.
I would have expected that we would have built on our past performance. In the last 8 years, we have not won any African Cup of Nations, which is something that is really very, very depressing for us, considering our pedigree in football, even though our domestic football has not been that bright as one would have expected.
Well, a very good evening to you from Abuja. The Moshood Abiola National Stadium here is the scene.
2 months later, a bigger shocker.
Comes out to Partey, hits it well, it's gone in under the goalkeeper. And Thomas Partey gives Ghana the lead here.
The Super Eagles did not make it to the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar.
They have beaten their West African rivals Nigeria on away goals.
It's heartbreaking. Without even asking, it's heartbreaking that we have the players, we have the resources. I don't know, we should learn to do the right thing, put the right pegs in the right holes. We shouldn't be Senegal and the rest of them. I mean, no disrespect, but those countries shouldn't be there flying their flag. And I mean, what's there for a Nigerian young people like us and the old people are like teeming football fans? We're a football nation.
It's a painful thing because football is the opium of the people, and that's what we use to forget about whatever the country is going through and all that.
Moment where the Moroccans felt that Ayani could have given them
the Super Falcons also fell short of expectations at the Women African Cup of Nations, losing to Morocco in the semi-finals.
Can we just see with this one? So excited there to get a team to the final for the very first.
However, the Flamingos gave Nigerians something to cheer in football. The girls returned home with the bronze from the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in India, the first medal for any women team from Nigeria at the tournament. The 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham goes into the history books as the most successful for Team Nigeria. The country finished with 12 gold, 9 silver and 14 bronze medals, a total of 35, all thanks to the exploits of the country's female athletes, winning all gold medals.
I think that the women in all ramifications have always been outstanding throughout, this year's in view, and I think that we must celebrate them. And of course, it's equally a challenge, to the men folk, because I guess there are too many other problems that the men are facing, but the women have really been very outstanding, and we say give them a lot of credits, and that's very, very incredible.
Star girl Toby Amuson had a fantastic year. She broke the women's 100 meters hurdles world record at the World Athletics Championship, clocking 12.12 seconds.
Individual performances, Toby Amuson, Haruna Quadri, Sebrume, fantastic, fantastic individual performances. And that's not good enough for Nigeria. We haven't done as well as we should with the talent we have. It's been a bit disappointing. But we always seem to manage to get through.
Bo's administration also produced major talking points. The Ministry of Youth and Sports Development presented a 10-year football development master plan to President Muhammadu Buhari.
These are initiatives that, if you are not someone that appreciates building systems, you may find it as nothing. But there's something, and we only need to have the right people that will drive the implementation.
After several delays, the elective Congress of the Nigeria Football Federation was held and produced a new leadership. With the All Africa Games, the Women's FIFA World Cup, 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, the men's under-17 and under-20 AFCON, and other international events all scheduled for the new year. Will 2023 tell a better story?
I like the way it ended, like a cliffhanger. Will 2023 tell a better story? That's what we're hoping for, and I hope that's what we'll get. All right, Arsenal Gunakman is ready now, like I said, suited and ready. Greetings to you, Austin. It's good to take this jolly ride together again this lovely Friday.
Sporty greetings to you, Yemi. Shout out to everyone joining us from different parts of the world. Still an action-packed world of sports. Right here in England, we're monitoring that FA Cup game between Manchester United and Everton. 4 minutes into the game, Anthony gave United the lead. We'll be monitoring it till the end of the show. Let me jump into what we just talked about, the review of sports in Nigeria in 2022. And that report ended with a very valid question. Will it be better? I told you the other day on this show that I want to see if we can consolidate on some of the good things we did in 2022 this year and see how we can make changes, particularly in areas where, you know, we've been slow. I can't wait to see the new league season kick off. Can't wait to see what's in it for, in quotes, other sports in Nigeria. We know some sports, they are pushing, they are trying, they're making efforts, but they're not just getting the much needed support. To mention a few: handball, wrestling, squash. And by the time we get to, you know, speak to our guest tonight on the show, we will talk more about it. It's time for the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development to realize that we are beyond being a football country. We didn't go to the World Cup and nobody died, you know, and we will not be going to the CHAN and nobody will die again. So it's just time for us to look at other sports and see ways that, you know, we can, you know, get some glory from those sports, particularly those ones that are doing so well.
All right. You talked about our guest. Let's go straight to him now because he's waiting and he wants to join us as we talk squash. So let's go there. Of course, Boye Oyeride is with us now. And he's a great greetings to you, sir. Thanks for joining us on the show tonight. Feels good to have you join us.
Yeah, greetings, guys. Happy New Year.
Yeah, same here. All right. Of course, I'm doing this with my partner, Arsenal Gunakman, as you can see, and so we'll both be asking you a few questions, and we'll have a jolly ride. But first, let me just ask you, squash in Nigeria, and you can blow your trumpet if you want to. Squash in Nigeria, then and now, in terms of awareness, in terms of growth, and in terms of participation, has a lot changed. When I say then, I mean probably pre-independence and now.
Yeah, I lost you a bit there, but if I hear you correctly, you said in terms of awareness, between then and now,
participation.
I don't know. Can you take that again, please?
Yeah, in terms of awareness, in terms of participation, especially from the youths, and in terms of maybe the love for the game, has a lot changed?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can tell you 2022 has been the best year we've had in squash, as far as I know. I can't talk for pre-2012, but between then and now, I know that there's a lot has changed. Last year, we had the first time ever a Nigerian player hit 185 in the world without leaving the shores of Nigeria. He's not the highest ranked Nigerian player. We have our number one in the United States, Tunde Ajagbe, who's who has risen as high as 144 in the world. But the difference is playing in Nigeria, really going back to the basics and having tournaments in Nigeria. We had former junior champion, Onopemi Kwadegoke. He actually grew to number 185 in the world. And he was also able to go out and play some international tournaments. Also, we had the African Senior Squash Championship, first time in I don't know, 15 years, and we got bronze medal in both categories, both male and female team championship. And this was the first time our ladies have gone out at least in the last 8 years. I don't know the last time they did, but it's really encouraging. We had upwards of about 15 tournaments last year in Nigeria. And we also had training for our officials. We had training for our coaches up to World Squash Federation level 2, all in Nigeria. So I can tell you squash is booming. Squash is moving. We're not as visible as football, but hey, I can tell you we're much better than we were, and we hope to be even much better in the coming years.
All right, I'll yield the floor to my colleague, but let me say this. Let me ask this quickly. In terms of, I'm looking at some yardsticks. Let's talk about participation now and the perception that games like this are elitist, especially if you consider what you need for the starter pack, the rackets, the things that you need, and getting a playing surface, getting access to a playing surface, all of those things. So has that kind of perception changed in your view?
Absolutely, it's changing already. We now have more facilities. A lot have been renovated, access being granted. We're requesting access to some locations that hitherto hadn't been available, and it's been granted. When squash was abandoned after the military left, those who were playing squash were mostly club members, and then a lot of the facilities were left to rot. I can tell you in the last 5 years, a lot have been renovated. For instance, look at Teslim Balogun Stadium. It's very, very active. A lot of club members are now taking on and sponsoring players who used to think that this was an elitist sport and encouraging them to play, providing kits. And in the last couple of years, we have provided kits to all 37 states of the Federation just to support grassroots development. Elite players are playing the best of their games right now. We know we need to do more, but definitely the perception is changing. Because of the exchange rate, the kits come out expensive. For instance, rackets for the two players you have here, Kennedy is now our national number 1 on Opemiko 2. Those rackets they're holding at $100, $150 is well over $100,000 for one racket, and it could hit the wall and break. And that's one of the reasons why people seem to feel that this is an expensive sport and a sport for the elite. But that's changing. We're providing support. We're getting people who are committing to supporting the grassroots program. Last year also, one of our players actually gave out almost 100 rackets to junior players for free during their tournaments. This is part of what we're trying to do to support the grassroots development program. So it's changing, but it's a work in progress.
Aboye, I remember in June 2017, I sat down with you in our Abuja studio when you were just elected president of the Squash Federation. And you told me that a major objective is to give squash some visibility and to, bring more competitions into it. I saw that your federation was busy, super busy last year. I wonder how you do these things with less funding. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, you need to tell us, is funding still an issue? And if it is, how has the Squash Federation been able to stay organized and give us the sort of events that we'll be seeing? Just hold your thoughts. We'll come back to you. It's Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back. You're watching Sports Tonight on your award-winning sports-loving Channels Television. We are taking a look at sports in Nigeria in 2023. Yes, it's a new year. It's time to, hold federation presidents accountable. Let us know what their plans are for the new year. Where are we coming from in 2022? Where do we need to consolidate? The president of the Nigeria Squash Federation Boye Oyerinde is with us on the program. And before we went on that break, Boye, I was taking you down memory lane when you were first elected president of the Squash Federation. You said you want to bring visibility to the sport. You want to tackle the issue of funding. Last year, you just mentioned that you guys had 15 tournaments. That's impressive. Despite the funding issues, how have you been able to stay busy?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. The funding issues are there, no doubt. But, you know, when you have stakeholders' confidence, it becomes a little easier. First of all, I'll talk to the visibility issue, and for that, I must say a big thank you. One of the things we're doing is just what we're doing right now. Austin, a big thank you to yourself, a big thank you to LTV. Ijoma is always calling, to the point where even her children are now playing squash. Godwin and Akena, blessing of STV. I mean, all you press guys, a big thank you to you, because but for you, I don't think we would have the visibility we have today of squash. Of course, also our social media platforms, WhatsApp, we try and reach as many people, as many forums as possible. You know, when you don't have the resources you need, you learn to manage the resources you have. No matter how small it is, you learn to stretch it. And that's exactly what we're doing. And then, of course, when our stakeholders see the confidence in what we're doing, we had one of our players, for instance, Tunde Ajagbe in the US. He sponsored 7 tournaments last year. He was able to reach out to stakeholders over there who was quite happy to support squash in Nigeria, and they sponsored both senior and junior tournaments last year. Also, in-house, we now have regular tournaments. Lagos State Classic is now on. The Olusegun Obasanjo Squash Open is now an annual event. We had some other tournaments join in. Some we missed last year, even though we had them in 2021. We have the Prime Atlantic tournament, the Frigate tournament. It's really amazing to see the support we're getting from stakeholders who some are the squash players themselves. And they've gotten to see what we're doing. And of course, we've also taken the focus away from the unnecessary things. If you want to sponsor a tournament today, we focus on the big 5, we call them. 1, prize money for the tournament, for the players, money for the officials, some visibility, some money to pay the guy who puts it on the social media platforms, the balls for the tournament, and then water for the players. Normally, you would say, hey, they need to put on the same T-shirts. You need to call caterer to come and cook for them. That's your prerogative. We leave that to the sponsors to handle and focus more on the tournament itself. And I'm happy that working with my team, this has really paid off, because the sponsors can see that the focus for us is the tournament, is the games itself, and not the non-essential things. And so that's really opened up things for us. And of course, we also have the ex-professionals who are now sponsoring tournaments, which is really good for us. And we must say a big thank you to the guys who have been there for us forever. Mr. Folarin Williams, Mr. George Etomi, and then there's someone who doesn't really like to be mentioned, Emeka Njoku Frigate. He's been amazing, supported us actually on everything, and so many others. I'm not
awesome.
talking about.
Awesome.
So that has kept us going.
Yeah, it's a new year. What's the major objective for your federation?
Well, I'm having a meeting with my board tomorrow. I've had a couple of meetings with my technical team since the beginning of the year. Now we know where we are, because we've seen how things have unfolded in the last few years. We know where we are in terms of the level of play. The big question now is, how do we sustain this moving forward? We have our elite players. They went to Zimbabwe in November. We sent 2 teams, both male and female, and they came back with bronze medals without camping. So we know that if these players had had the benefit of being in a camp and trained and put in the right level of play, we probably could have come back with a better performance from Zimbabwe. Also, for continuity, now we need to focus on the junior players. So that we can, when they talk about Egypt, they talk about the Egyptian army. You have the players who are really good right now, and then you have a huge stream of upcoming junior players. That is exactly the approach we're taking in Nigeria now. We want to build a team of junior players who will keep the game going irrespective.
Awesome.
In a few years, this board is going to change hands, but we want to be sure that whatever happens, the game continues. So we're focusing a lot on developing, and I'm not just talking 15, 16-year-olds, I'm talking of under 13, so that they get the right training at a very young age. This is our focus. We want to see how we can use whatever resources we get to set them in the right path so that by the time they attain the age of 15, 16, they're playing at the right level, playing the right quality of squash that will be played at the international level. Of course, we'll continue with our training. We plan to start off with training our officials in January. It's on right now. But we have a slight setback, which we hope to be able to surmount, and then that will go on.
Thank you so much, Boye, for your time on the show. We hold you and your federation accountable, particularly with what you mentioned about our grassroots squash development. Thank you so much for your time on the program, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Good to see you again.
Awesome. That's it. So that's it. The president of Nigeria Squash Federation. Let's get back to our Lagos studio. Uche, good to see you. Happy New Year. I'm sure you liked most of the things Boye talked about.
Yeah, Austin, Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic that he's talking about development of the game at the grassroots. That is the future of any sports, because in the modern sports, Austin and Yemi, you don't need to be a Methuselah to have experience. That's what it has shown. We saw Kylian Mbappe at the last World Cup at 23 years. He's playing the best football of his life. So if you discover athletes at a very young age, maybe at 11, 10, 12, you expose them, give them the necessary, ingredients that they will require, give them the right environment, motivate them. The ones who wants to go to school, they are able to go to school and also, take part in their various events. Then I think before they get to 16, 17, they should be competing among the best. That is just the way to go. It's not rocket science.
And there are no shortcuts.
No shortcuts.
All right. Okay, we have a lot of ground to cover in the next 20 minutes. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that before the show ends. Let's come home now and talk about the Nigeria Professional Football League. We're about to listen to the NFF president, but I want to quickly get your views. If you can do that for me quickly. What's your view about the abridged league? A lot of people have said, well, it's better, something is better than nothing, and that's what has happened here. But I want to get your views, because we've not really spoken about your thoughts on the abridged league.
Yeah, sincerely, and Austin, I think it should be the last abridged season we will ever see in this country. It's a child of necessity. You really can't blame the interim management committee. In a bid to catch up with. That's what we'll be saying all the time, trying to catch up with the European calendar, trying to salvage the situation. I hope it's the last, because it's not really the best. It's like you already, before you know it, the season has ended. And some clubs, they don't start very well. Storm starts warming into the season, maybe after 6, 7, 8 weeks. So
when the damage has already been done.
So I really pity some of these clubs, but I think this is just a temporary arrangement. Okay. And like I said, I hope this will be the last abridged season we ever witness in the history of our league.
All right. Okay, you can see pictures on your screen. Let's quickly listen to the president of the NFF seeking support, calling for support from the clubs for this abridged league format. We'll listen to him. We'll come back to talk some more on the league, take a look at the teams in the divisions, the matches that we played, and some key points to note.
The issue of playing an abridged league or whatever is a child of necessity. We are talking with people that are going to bring money into the league, and they want us to make sure that at least we take back our league the way it is being run in other parts of the world. Therefore, ending our league in May does not mean it stopped there. Because we say we have to end our league in May does not mean it's because we are submitting lists to CAF. That's not the only issue. The issue there is we must start next season by August. There's no going back about it. It's not an issue of submitting the names to CAF. Number one, these players must have a break. Then they must be given an opportunity to go to anywhere in the world, take their chances of being part of whatever they can be in football. And then number three, our clubs that are going to represent us at the continent, they must have enough time to train, calm their team, play friendly matches for them to represent us well. So there's no way we will allow anything that will make us to be rushing as far as football is concerned in this country. No way. So it's not about anybody, it's not about anything, but it's about trying to do the things right. And thank God we have partners that are ready to partner with us to ensure that at least we achieve that step. They will tell you, some of our partners are here, what they have for us, what they have for the league. And by the grace of God, if we try to put our house in order, more money will come. And everybody will be happy for it. And that's the truth. But we just have to start from somewhere, and we have to make sacrifice. And by the grace of God, God will help us to at least change the narratives of football in this country. So please, people should not give it a different meaning or what have you. Nobody is trying to give anybody any directives, but we must allow the system to work well. That is just where we are going to. And by the grace of God, whatever policy the IFC come up with, that we surely see it clearly that it goes in conformity of our plans to achieve what we have as our goal. We are surely going to support them. So on this note, I want to say it's a happy time for all of us, at least before the league. Nobody is saying this is the first time clubs have been given, supported with money. But at least it is a long time that it happens.
All right, a special plea from the president of Nigerian Football Federation to the clubs to support this abridged format, and also promising that all the things that has been highlighted they intend to do. All right, talking about the things that have been promised, the things that we hear will be done. We've put together some key points to note for you as we expect this abridged league. All right, and of course we have some of them on the screen that we've put together, and just quickly going to reel some out to you. Bayelsa United, Doma United, Bendel Insurance, and El Kanemi Warriors are the newly promoted clubs. Jos, Uyo, Ibadan, Ikene, Yenagoa, Bauchi, Gombe, Port Harcourt, and Oka are the approved match venues for the fixtures. 20 clubs divided into two groups of 10 will play in this abridged league. All right, the top three clubs in each group qualify for a 16 playoff to determine the eventual champions. Eventual champions will get 100 million naira as prize money. Each of the 20 clubs will receive 10 million naira as take-off grant. All right, so that's some of the things that you need to know. All right, let's take a look at the teams that will be participating, the groups they've been divided into. And I'm quickly going to get Oyinwuchi and Austin to just help us look through some of these things. In Group A, you have Akko United, Bendel Insurance, Nasarawa United, Eyimba Plateau United, Shooting Stars, Kwara United, Gombe United, Remo Stars, and El Kanemi Warriors. All of these teams in Group A. Let's go to Group B now, showing on your screen. In Group B, Bayelsa United, Dakada, Wiki Torres, Niger Tornadoes, Doma United, Sunshine Stars, Rivers United, Lobby Stars, Rangers, and Abia Warriors are the teams that are in the groups. All right, let me just quickly go to Oyinwuchi Nwachukwu before I bring Austin back into it. Oyinwuchi Nwachukwu will pedigree count? you know, you look at some of these groups and you begin to look at some names and like, okay, this one should be able to make the top 3, this one should be able to make the top 3. But we've not seen much from all the clubs. So will pedigree count, or is how you start that is going to matter?
Yeah, pedigree will count. How you start is also very, very important. You know, the chairman of the clubs, you know, didn't want the abridged league for whatever reasons. The IMC insisted that it has to be abridged, so that's the reason the NFF president had to intervene. Yeah, I mean, it's very dicey. The abridged, you know, some clubs have mastered this abridged format. They know how to go about it, you know, and what you just need is to win. Make sure you win all your own matches, get some couple of points outside, then
you'll be fine.
You'll be fine away from home. But you look at Group A, Yemi, where Akwa United, very formidable, you know, and you also have Remo Stars that did very well last season. At the point, they led the season for so many weeks. But you know what happened? Gradually, their form deepened and they lost him because it was a long season and they had to make do with a continental ticket. So I think they have experience now at that level. And the kind of infrastructure they have been able to put in place in Kenya, they are garnering a lot of home support during their matches. The last continental they played, the stadium was almost you know, filled to capacity. So I think Remo Stars should able to consolidate on what they did last season. Then Eyimba, obviously, they are perennial favorites. Every season, they are favorites, you know, to win the league season and all that. So you may also, you know, look at them and because of their pedigree, because of what they've been able to do, they could also pick. They could also pick one of the 3 tickets in that group. Then
okay, you just want to talk about what about Group B? Your thoughts?
Yeah, in Group B. Rangers, who have Rivers United that did so well, they are also in contention for the continental you know, diadem. They have moved into the group stage of the Confederations Cup, so they are high on confidence. And the Governor Nyesom Wike, is almost every time he has made some promises, he has fulfilled the promises. So the players really don't have any reason not to do well. So they should be high on confidence, and their venue is one of the centers that have been approved by the IMC. So they are playing at home. Everything is working in their favor. They should, you know, they should pick one of the tickets. Then Rangers, they are playing away from home this time around. I mean, after 2 seasons, they are going to play in Oka. They have not been able to put finishing touches to their stadium. That's the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. And that should, you know, sometimes when you are playing away from home, if you are not careful, teams will just come and see it as a neutral venue and get some points. That was what happened to them last season. But Rangers is still a traditional team. They should, you know, I fancy that they should pick one of the tickets. Then you look at Lobby Stars, you look at Bayelsa United. These are teams that have done well, you know, previously. Even though Bayelsa United just gained promotion last season from the lower division, they got a continental ticket. So it's really difficult, you know what I mean?
All right.
It's really difficult, but you can still pick.
Have an idea.
Have an idea. You know, it may not really be so accurate, but these teams are teams that know how to navigate the season.
All right.
They know how to get some points away from home, and they could pick one of those tickets.
All right. I'm just going to say I agree with you. So there's no need for me to repeat everything that you have said. All right, let me quickly go to Austin. I don't know if Austin agrees, even though we're pressed for time, but I don't know if Austin agrees with probably maybe the fact that he didn't mention Aqua United, probably the only thing that Austin might probably disagree with. But in a minute, your top picks and why?
So I won't be picking Yemi because, I mean, it's not what we were expecting. We wanted to see a proper league because if you tell me pick now, I'll pick the names that we know in the league, and that's not what we were expecting, you know, out of this league. But it is what it is. It's an abridged league in Group A. If I don't pick Aqua United now, people will come for me, and you will say, "Oh, you expect, you know, me to say Aqua United." You can just pick them because, I mean, 2 seasons ago, they were defending champions. Last season, I think to an extent, they tried to pick back their season, but it was just too late. I'd like to see what Nasarawa United can do. That's a team that I like so well. But last season, I think they blinked, or somehow they lost the spark that we saw from them 2 seasons ago. Eimba understands, and they like this format. Eimba loves this Bridge League thing that will take them to the Super 6, and then they fight for the title. So you can't take Eimba. I've mentioned 3, but as you can see, I've not even talked about Plateau United yet. They finished second in the league, last season. I've not talked about Shooting Stars as a traditional team. I've not talked about Kwara United. That was very impressive. Now with this abridged format, it will give us an opportunity to see the new guys like El Kanemi Warriors, even Gombe. They had a fairly good season. Now, because they're not playing as much matches, they're not playing at home, they don't have the opportunity of doing the home and away format, it just messes up everything. So in Group B, definitely want to take a look at Rivers United, the defending champions, Rangers, of course, you have to put them in the mix, and any other actually. But then again, you won't have an opportunity to see the new guys do what they have to do for qualifying into top flight football in Nigeria. So I want to join Oyewuchi and make our voices louder that this should be the last time that we'll be playing a Bridge League football in Nigeria. And if we do this now, and next year we still have this problem, everyone involved with league football in Nigeria should just go home.
Oh, that's a bold statement, and I like that. Of course, I'm on the same page with you guys. We shouldn't be doing this. If with this abridged league we don't solve the problem, then it means that whoever is handling the problem can't actually solve the problem. All right, let's quickly talk about what's happening in England. We're going to Austin's home base, that is, and talk about it. So we'll run through it. We're pressed for time. There's a game currently going on. Austin will tell us what's happening in that one. Third round fixtures for tomorrow. Crystal Palace take on Southampton. Gillingham will take on Leicester City. Tottenham will take on Portsmouth. Blackpool will take on Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth will take on Burnley. These are fixtures in the English FA Cup for Saturday. Let's flip quickly to Sunday and take a look at what's going to happen on Sunday with regards to the FA Cup. That's it. Cardiff will take on Leeds United. Aston Villa will take on Stevenage. Manchester City will take on Chelsea. Part 2. Part 1 was played yesterday. But this time it's not the league, it's the FA Cup. Then Oxford will take on Arsenal, that is. All right, before we listen to what is, Austin will give us his take on what is happening because he's monitoring. I want us to spend a few minutes to talk about Gianluca Vialli, a big blow, a sad loss for the world of football. And before we came into the studio, I was having a chat with Oyewuchi Nwachukwu, and we're talking about Gianluca Vialli, the fond memories of Gianluca Vialli's playing career, even before he came to Juventus, Sampdoria, and the things he did at Chelsea. But let me come to you. I think Celestine Babayaro played under him at some point. I don't know if he was signed by Vialli or Gullit, but I know Celestine Babayaro actually played under him. But what a guy he was.
Yeah, it was a big loss. We knew he had pancreatic cancer. He had to, at the point, he had to withdraw from Italy's squad to the World Cup because he needed to undergo chemotherapy. He had it before, and he got an all clear, and the thing resurfaced again. And sadly, memories. When a man dies, you live. The memories are always there, and he has left these memories that everybody has come to cherish and admire. You said from Sampdoria, he scored a lot of goals. He won domestic titles in Sampdoria. He broke the record transfer when he moved from Sampdoria to Juventus. He won the UEFA Champions League, also won some domestic title. I think he's among 9 players that have won all 3 main European club competitions. And he's also the only player in the world that has won all the medals, the winners' medals, and also the runners-up medals for all these 3 competitions. So he did a lot for football, and it's such a shock that shocking that he had to leave when his experience that he has gathered over the years was needed. Roberto Mancini will be sad that he has lost an able ally, in his backroom staff. So we join football followers all around the world to mourn the passing of this legend, the great man. And like you said, he also scored a lot of goals for Chelsea. Later became a player, a coach for Chelsea.
And
by
later,
the time left. Yeah.
All right. Austin, he became the bridge. At some point, Italy was synonymous with Chelsea. Either they had Italian players or they had an Italian manager. And it all started with Gianluca Vialli. But at the point when he stepped down from his role with the national team, some of us knew something was going on.
Yeah, I think it was in 2017, he was diagnosed of that pancreatic cancer.
He beat
and it was given the all clear in 2020, and then in 2021, it resurfaced again, what a guy. I liked him so much because of his vibes. A close friend of mine that was covering the Italian team told me that he's the guy you take the problems to. He knows how to go talk to players. And I was listening to his former Sampdoria teammate Graham Souness today, and he said that forget football, Vialli was a gorgeous soul. That was how he described him. He said he was a fantastic human being. It's so unfortunate that we've lost him at just 58, and as Onyewuchi said, just when he was about to show, his quality, as a coach and be there for Italian football. But fantastic that they won the Euros for him. It would have been good to see him at the World Cup. He has done his part, said a beautiful story. We're remembering him for the good things he has done now. But let's learn from him, Aside football, he was a gorgeous soul.
All right. Also, we have less than a minute before we get thrown out of the studio. I just meant that jokingly anyway. But give us a quick update of what is happening in the game currently going on before we wrap things up and we say our goodbyes.
FA Cup game between Manchester United and Everton at Old Trafford. I told you at the start of the show, 4 minutes into the game, Anthony gave United the lead. 10 minutes later, Connor puts Everton back into it. So it's halftime now and it's Manchester United 1, Everton 1. That's where to leave it here, me. In London, I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right. All right. That's the show. But before I go, I have to say a big thank you to Onyewuchi Nwachukwu for his time on the show. And I'm hoping it's going to be a first of many.
Yeah, always a pleasure. I'm always available.
All right. All right. Show, That's good to hear. All right. That's the show today. We do hope that you enjoyed everything we've been able to do. We'll do this again next week. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you again. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.